The date today is May 17th, 2010. My name's Robbie. I purchased this S-M9 airsoft spring gun off of eBay for $50 including shipping. My plan was to convert this airsoft gun to fit a Ruger 1022. I'm going to show you how I did it. Okay, here's the finished project. It has not been test fired yet other than dry firing with no ammo in it. Physically looks like it should work, but I'll have to take it out to the range to see if it does. So, as you can notice, I dremeled out around here to fit the charging handle. I had to dremel out just a little bit to fit my nice Butler Creek 1022 mags that I love to use. I had to dremel out the inside, of course, and then I dremeled out a little bit through here. Sorry, bad angle. A little bit here because I did not want to take off the stock front sight, so we could still put it back on. So I dremeled a nice slide here for it to just slide into. So there's a screw here and a screw on the other side. This piece comes off. There's multiple little screws throughout the whole thing that just come off on this one side. 2 screws on the top for this plastic Picatinny rail. There's a larger screw here that used to hold the stock disconnect for the magazine, which is great because once you take that off, it gives you room for your finger to go in. Let's see if I can do this. So you just set your finger in, push in, and then it comes right out. The magazine does. And then same thing. Now the Ruger 1022 I'm using is still completely stock, so I don't have all the cool aftermarket internals for it. Okay, so here's a crosscut view of it. Taking out the screws, the 2 screws that hold the Picatinny rail, the 2 screws that hold the butt pad, the 2 screws that hold the front handle. So as you can tell, I had a little bit of drilling to do here and there. The first thing I did, of course, was look to see the functionality of how the airsoft version of the gun worked, to see if there was anything I could use. And after some time and some looking through, there was pretty much nothing besides the plastic and the trigger that I could use. Once I pull it off, you'll see that there's a metal rod. It is 1/8 square stainless steel rod. I really wanted round, but I couldn't find it. The local Home Depot seemed to be out of it. And it runs up to here, straight across, and then about there it goes at an angle, comes down, and then turns here. And of course I used heat shrink over for the trigger so it doesn't rub the finish off the trigger itself. And then this piece here is only there because when I dremeled too far back on the plastic, so I needed a spacer in the back to keep it from creeping back and then thus making the trigger not work. So this is just a piece of wood wrapped in Gorilla duct tape. So I can pull this trigger off here. It just sets in there. It's loaded by a spring, and then I'm just going to literally just pull this out. Now one of the first things you'll see is that the cover for the front I dremeled off the top of so it would set in. That way when it's set in position here, oh, here's the top piece. So it sets on these 2 pieces there. That way when it sets in the gun, it won't wiggle around, it's set in. So then there's my rod, 1/8 square stainless steel rod, bends out and around. There to there. So then the actual gun, I dremeled out a little bit there, a whole bunch here, here, anywhere the barrel was going to come down. So this point, and then here was kind of the fun part of taking your time and just dribbling down and test fitting. So all this had to be dremelled out right here. This is my dot for where the trigger would set. So when I bent my rod, it came from there to there, a little bit up, and then back to there. You can see the other dot. So the dremeling part was a lot of fun. Dremelled out all this and that, and then of course same on the other end. Dremelled out. I even had to dremel out here so my mags would fit in without problem. So dremelled out all that on both sides. The hole was quite fun. I got pretty lucky. I drilled a hole and then, you know, test fit it, and then started drilling around. Some cuts on my fingers from playing with it. The key to keeping this not sharp is just using a little bit of sandpaper to cover the edges. Don't sand the surface itself because it will leave scratches, but if you just catch the edges, it'll clean it up a lot. And it's this, the Ruger 1022 is literally just a, that fell out, I gotta get that. It's just a standard cheap model Ruger 1022 standard barrel, no changes at all. I might need to go back, now that I see this hole from where the bolt goes, I might need to make a plate, maybe on one side, maybe on both sides, to keep those from just falling out, because as you know, the Ruger 1022s, they're just set in, so if there's vibration on the sides, they could fall out and cause problems. Two notes to make. Note number one is this is the safety, the airsoft safety. Whatever you do, don't pull that all the way out. There's a little tiny, there's this top clear plastic piece and this guy. There's a little spring and a little ball bearing inside there. Once you pull this out, it goes shooting across the room. If you're lucky, you'll find it, but there's pretty much no reason to pull that apart. So do not pull that apart. It is a pain in the butt once you get it apart to put back together. The only other thing I would suggest, or the only other thing I did is, this is the stock spring in the stock location just for trigger pull back and forth. I kept that there. I have that connected. So start to put it back together. And that's what she looks like, just in case somebody needs to see again.